intelligent virtual agents. Is that still baking, or is it just dough?
It's very doughy, and I'll tell you why. And the reason I say that is because for high, simple transactions, it's pretty good. But the minute you go outside of transactional voice, I need this, or, customers, we don't speak like that, right? We don't speak like an IVR. We don't speak, please, we use words like please and help and thank you. And natural sounding, I think is probably pretty much baking. Like, I feel like we could get very close to natural sounding. I mean, it's okay if it's a AI tool. I'm okay with that as a customer. But where I want them to be more baked is to understand my needs and to really be able to pick up and engage me as a customer and take me in the right direction, help me get there faster and quicker.
A deeper, more human-like understanding of context.
100%. I would agree. In all these technologies that we're talking about, they're between dough and baking. And I think until it can get to that emotional layer of understanding human voice, a tone, dialect, etc., it is going to be very hard to get to that 100% baked.
Auto QA. Baked? Are they still baking, or are those just dough?
So to be able to score, I would say is baked. I'd say to make appropriate recommendations on how someone can, maybe let's take sales, for example, since we're talking about sales, ask for the sale, right? Or make recommendations on how to provide the customer with what's required. I think it's still baking. And I think, again, it's because the automated tool needs to understand what the goals of the QA actually really are. So if you're just following questions, like these 5 questions, I think it does a good job and it's baked. If you're trying to say, how do I improve this agent experience and make this agent more effective? I think there are very few tools that have got the recommendations right 100%. Trying to build these models myself with other companies in my own world is because we are not absolutely 100% clear on the intent of QA. We're so used to evaluating a call flow rather than the purpose and outcome of a call. And I think in customer operations or customer care, we have to go from moving away from call flow reviewing to absolute engagement and connection with the customer. And I think the QA tool has to be able to help us do that.
Intelligent note taker, still baking, or is it just dough?
I'd say they're still baking, again, because what's missing for me is they do a good job in transcribing exactly the verbatim comment. What's missing is that, again, that intent, that emotional piece. It depends on how you want to use the tool, right? Like, it's an effective tool, and that's where I think it's still baking, but it's more baked in this way. It's still effective in transcribing the call, entering the notes in the CRM so the agent doesn't have to do that. But if you went to look back and you were reviewing those calls, you would not know whether the agent or the customer had a good experience or a bad experience. If I was to recreate this in my head, I would do it where it was almost ticking boxes or checking boxes in the system and let the agent put in the feel of the call.
You need both. You need comprehensive, consistent notes that are pointing the attention at the right spot. And, you need to be able to actually be able to justify the spend and return it back to the contact center in the form of improved efficiency and reduced after-call work.
I 100% agree. I think where companies, fall short is they expect it to reduce handle time, 100%. And what this should be is a means to an end. So it helps the agent get the understanding of the call, what they're looking for, what has happened on the call, but then it's up to the agent to put in the the quality or the notes that explains what actually that call felt like.
Agent assist. Is it fully baked, still baking, or just dough?
I think it's between baking and baked. It can get much, much better baked in.
Where do you think the biggest value is there?
I've seen it used really effectively in sales organizations that are trying to sell a product or an experience. Where I think it needs further support or further development is really around what happens when there's those objections or those obstacles that the AI tool is unable to understand the emotional impact of those. From what I've seen in terms of the recommendation, it doesn't always give the top recommendation. And that's not because it doesn't, it can't, it just doesn't have the data to be able to do that, and the amount of experience that it needs to become that fully baked. So as you know, and I know, over time, it will grow and it will develop and it will continue to evolve based on number of use and amount of use. But I think that the human language is so much quicker than the tool can do. And I think that's where it's falling down a little bit, because it's still catching up.